2 goals. So to me, it's now the safest lead.
Early payout from Bet365, huh? Now my right eye is twitching, Dan.
Bet365. Winning is everything. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Colorado. T's and C's apply. In-app only.
Do you have a good lemonade recipe? I'm looking for one. This is Jay Rickstrew for Alpine Bank, member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Now that summer is here, so are new opportunities. Fresh as a glass of lemonade. Maybe a home project is on your mind. Would your family like to take a camping trip somewhere fun? Whatever you'd like to make happen this season, Alpine Bank would like to be part of it. There are so many helpful tools and resources we offer to make this a great summer. Please give us a chance to tell you more about them. Stop by sometime soon. Oh, and if you have that lemonade recipe, bring it along too. My wife makes a peach pie that's knock your socks off. Alpine Bank, committed to Colorado and you.
Whatever the forecast, aches and pains can cloud up a perfect day. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief. So you're ready for sunny skies ahead. Use as directed.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. Powered by Regen RX. It's The Drive with Zach By and Philip Lindsay. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight. Taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
Up and running on a new week. Denver Sports Tonight. Mike Rice, Dante Gomez. How was the fourth, Dante? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too, Mike. We saw each other, the second? We were handing off Dover and Cecil to the Drive.
On Thursday.
Yes. You guys had a great show from the 30 minutes I heard on my way home.
See how you are. I see what you did there. I see what you did.
But no, it was great. Went out to the mountains. No fires, unfortunately, or no campfires, unfortunately, due to the fires in the mountains. But it was great. It was got some lake time in at some alpine lakes. Did some hiking. Did some fishing. How about yourself?
Good weekend. I will say that a certain host noticed that you were here Thursday but not here Friday.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to throw the judge. I mean, I don't want to throw him under the bus or anything.
Did I get called out on Friday a little bit?
It's Judge Dan. Of course you got called out. That makes sense. I got called out for saying that, people wouldn't blame Nikola Jokic if he decided to leave at some point. And
that took a different step today as well.
Yes, it did.
But as far as my absence on Friday, it was a company holiday Thursday and Friday.
It was.
So I technically didn't have to work either of the days. I volunteered to work Thursday, so I was happy to do it. But I had to get out of town, get a nice camping spot on Friday. It gets competitive out there, especially on a weekend like this. So I wanted to make sure I got out there with plenty of time and locked down a good spot.
So you didn't have a reservation?
No, it's just...
So you were the Southwest Airlines camper then?
Apparently. I've never really done the reservation camping out here.
Okay.
Usually it's just we got a spot we like and we go up there. Our spot that we normally get was taken, but we just went 100 yards to the left.
Back up to Twin Lakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, back up to Twin Lakes out by Leadville.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are getting a little bit of that fire out there. So shout out Leadville, and hopefully they can get that fire under control here soon.
We're going to spend a couple of minutes on the World Cup match, which is just getting started between the United States and Belgium. And then we're going to talk Nuggets, and we're going to try and squeeze in a little Rockies before we get out of here tonight. So you baseball fans, we have you covered right here. Hey, yesterday morning we had Ed Henderson on, speaking of Rockies. Good to talk to Ed, catch up with him. I'll give you the update when we talk Rockies. But for now, we have to toss out our predictions. You said what, 2-0 or 2-0 USA?
I said 2-0. Okay. I'm not going to participate in soccer's
parlance.
Whatever that word means, sure.
Vocabulary.
Yes.
Okay.
I will go 2-0.
2-0. 2-0. The Americans beat the Belgian team. I am predicting 2-1 Team USA. Look, I have great respect for Belgium. Actually, they're a really good soccer team. They are, but I'm not picking against my guys. Unlike our morning guy, Mike Evans. I mean, what is he doing picking Team USA? I'm glad Stoke.
Especially when they're the favorites of the game. It's not like you're taking the U.S. versus some powerhouse. Well, this is a very winnable game for the U.S.
It is winnable. It would be a tough win, like anyone would be in at this stage, round of 16 or better, knockout stage. You got to play well. And I do think it would be a little bit lower scoring as well. Nobody has scored more than 3 goals in a knockout stage game. And England scored 3. Belgium actually in that miraculous rally against Senegal. I think that was the knockout stage. Might have been pool play, but it was knockout stage. They scored 3 there. There have only been a handful of teams that have scored as many as 3 goals in a match in the knockout stage. So we'll see how Team USA does. I must say, I'm into it. I'm absolutely into the World Cup in a way I didn't really think I would be. My oldest son kind of started jumping on this as the group play began, and USA was playing Australia, and he was all asking me questions and all this, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it with you. And then even like the England-Mexico match last night, I could not stop watching that thing.
It was so good.
It was it was off the charts. I put it on X. I said, this England-Mexico match is absolutely off the charts. It had everything. It had goals. It had quick goals. It had penalty kicks.
It had fights between the teams.
Yeah, right. Oh, my goodness. That's high-level stuff. And it had Mexico losing on its home pitch.
Yeah, that was a fun one to watch last night. I didn't think I was going to get as into it as I am, but I am fully invested in tonight's game, and hopefully we get at least one more game here going forward. I'm not the biggest soccer fan. I think there's some issues with the game, with the rules, but I am very invested. I've been reading up on the teams tonight, so
okay,
let's go USA, and let's get one more against Spain.
Okay, so, and again, the match is only a few minutes old, but what would you say are a couple of the keys to beat this Belgian team?
Well, you just got to play the game that they've been playing, and they become much more of a possession soccer team in this World Cup versus years past. They were much more counterattack, to where when the other team kind of faults, they have a good opportunity to reverse that. This year, no, they are taking the game into their own hands, and they are playing with the possession. They are the team that's accomplishing all these quick passes and possession of the ball. So I think they just got to make sure they play their game. And soccer is such a weird sport. It's kind of like hockey, where you can do everything right, but you got to make sure you cross the finish line and get that goal in there as well. So there's going to be limited opportunities, I'd imagine. You just got to make sure you take advantage of them.
I will say this, and on the RamosLaw.com text line, chime in, 303-713-1043. The 2678 reminds us the U.S. lost to Belgium in March, 5-2. And I have been actually listening and following as much of the commentary as I can, and the thought for both squads is they're both different, and certainly for Team USA, much better than the Americans were back in March. So it'll be interesting to follow, but I'm fully on board as well. Can you imagine if we find a way to win this match and go to the final 8? It'd be España, right?
I mean, this is the biggest match in USA soccer. And if they could somehow get to the round of 8, the quarterfinals, that would easily, hands down, be the biggest match in soccer, or in U.S. soccer history at least. So that would be an all-timer. I believe they would play the 10th, so maybe Friday or Saturday. Is that?
I think that's right. I think it's usually about 4 or 5 days out. And I do think it would be Spain. I'll check that bracket here in a second.
It's definitely Spain.
Yes. The thing that's
July 10th.
Spain beat Portugal today 1-0. I will use soccer parlance. I will. Because, I don't know, it just sounds better. So it makes it's kind of like, well, he must know what he's talking about. He says 1-0. You're
going to trick him into thinking
that pretty much.
Because everybody here knows, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm thinking, the way you're saying, hey, I'm reading up on it and you're following, I'm thinking, are you becoming the soccer guy?
No,
here?
no, I still complain about soccer every game I watch.
Okay.
It's how dumb is the clock rule? If there's just who knows, a mystery amount of extended time at the end of the game and at the end of the half. And technically we'll go to the 48th minute in the first half, but then we go to the second half, it restarts at 45 minutes. I think that's ridiculous. Some of the touch fouls and penalties gets to be a little bit much. And then the whole controversy today with Flo Balogun being able to play in this game after appealing the red card. Just a lot going on there, which I'm excited that he's able to play. I think it's great for the U.S., but
it's not good news.
Yeah, I noticed there. All right, 1-0 Belgium in the 9th minute, it looks like here.
See what happens when you say 0? I mean,
you think that's soccer mocking me?
I think that's the soccer gods. I do. The U.S. was calling for an offsides, but I don't know if we're going to get it. It looks like it's going to hold. And, okay, now we got to come back. Got to come back and get it done. So we'll keep you posted on the round of 16 match between the United States and Belgium, and we are now down 1-0. And that was actually set up pretty nicely against the Belgians, or by the Belgians. So that's kind of a downer. But we will switch over to Nuggets. And again, feel free to jump on that RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043, or on the fan YouTube page. The YouTube chat is sponsored and brought to us by Champ Honda. Nuggets, so much to get to, and Justin and I talked about it. I did a little bit of a deep dive on the economics of the luxury tax and the repeater tax yesterday morning. I'm not going to revisit all that, although some of the basics I'm sure will get sprinkled into the conversation. But the big headline today is that Nikola Jokic says, I'm not going to sign my extension until next summer, but I want to be a Nugget for life, and I want to stay in Denver my entire career. So what do we do with all that? Do we say, hey, he's probably going to make another $70, $80 million by waiting until next summer? Or are we going to say he's putting a little pressure on the organization? Or both?
I'm concerned if I'm a Nuggets fan here that he's not locked up. He has a player option for 2027, 2028, which he can opt out of, obviously, and become a unrestricted free agent next offseason if he decides so. I don't think that's what he is going to do, but the fact that the door is open and the fact that there is somewhat a percentage chance that that's what happens and he walks away from the Nuggets organization and the Nuggets get nothing in return, I think that has to be a little concerning if you're looking at it. I get that he can wait and make more money a year from now, but let's be honest. He could sign this extension, and then he's probably going to have another extension waiting for him in 2 to 3 years here. So I don't think it's the security of it on his end. To me, it's the opposite. I think it's the security on Nuggets Nation's end and on the Nuggets organization end of knowing that we have our guy here for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And the fact that you don't have that reassurance, again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it does make me a little nervous.
It makes me a little nervous too, but I want to bring in an angle that relates to the economics, because if there's one thing that Jokic is, I believe it's smart. And I believe that he knows exactly the landscape of the economics and really the challenge that not just the Nuggets, but all NBA teams are in because of the luxury tax and the repeater tax, which we know was negotiated into the CBA. I still can't figure out why. That's another conversation. But here's the thing. So we all talk about the Nuggets taking advantage of the prime Jokic years, which I want them to as well. And from that standpoint, I want them to do whatever it takes, pay whatever taxes they have to pay. And right now it's probably around 200 or north of 200 million if they re-sign Payton Watson at somewhere around $25 million. So they're already at a high tax bill if they don't do anything. And we know Big Val's contract is likely going to come off. That's $10 million. That would make a huge difference in the tax bill. But they haven't done anything really with any free agents at this point other than the two relatively inexpensive ones, Bagley III and Jones. But if you're Jokic, of course, you want to win another title. But you also know organizationally that the Nuggets likely want to stay under the luxury tax this year. Why? So that they avoid the repeater tax starting next year. The problem, if they just run it back with everybody, Dante, and bring Peyton Watson back at a chunk of money, then they would have to be under the luxury tax the next 2 years consecutively after this one in order to avoid the repeater tax. So if they're under the luxury tax threshold of just over $200 million this year, Jokic knows it might be an air quotes step back or mini step back, but then they could load up again because they wouldn't be subject to the repeater tax, which is punitive. I mean, it's expensive. Now, I don't care. I mean, if the Cronkies want to pay it, great. I hope they do. So I can understand where Jokic might actually be saying, look, I'll at some point sacrifice a little this year if the organization wants to get under that repeater tax by being under the luxury tax. And then that next year is more of a load-up year. And this is something I know Zach and Phil and others have talked about here during this offseason. Is there anything to that? I actually think there could be something to it, even though I would love the Cronkies to go out and spend $250 million and pay all the taxes and have the best team they possibly can. But I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I see the angle that you're coming at it with that. Maybe even competitively, it's best for the Nuggets to go under the repeater or the luxury tax, get out of the repeater tax moving forward. And maybe this year is that slight step back. You're talking about that gap year that has been thrown around, but the 2 to 3 years following it, they will be more competitive than they would be if they decided to not take that step back now. So I definitely think there's an argument to be made for that. It's hard for me to be in support of a gap year when you have Jokic finishing second in the MVP race and for the second consecutive year.
Yeah.
And before that, he was winning MVPs. So it's really hard for me to get on board with that. But I do think that there is a lane there for them to actually be more competitive over the next 4 or 5 years. Kind of that Calvin Booth model of we're not going for next year. We're going to make sure keep this window open longer. I think that there's something to that, of leaving the window open longer by taking 1 year of step back.
Right. Because if they're if they got under the luxury tax and last year by the trade of Hunter Tyson before the deadline. And again, all of the taxes are based on a June 30th mark. So you don't have to be under the luxury tax when the season starts. You basically have to be there when the season ends. And so they can make deadline deals if they start with a payroll of $245 million and it's not going the way they want. Then you start to shed. Then you become a seller and you go, all right, we're going to avoid the repeater tax by getting under that $200+ million luxury tax threshold. And I can really see that argument because this is Joker's age 31 season. And then if you're into the repeater tax again, you would be taking his age 32 and his age 33 seasons, which would be the last 2 years of his contract if he does not exercise the player option, and have to be under the luxury tax to avoid the repeater tax. So I really get it's a critical year for the Nuggets, and I don't know that I'd go so far as to call it a gap year, because I think you can get there. You would just have to still probably make one move. If you bring Peyton Watson back, you'd have to make a move of about equal money, maybe a little bit more than what Peyton would make. A chunk of that would come from Jonas Valanciunas because he's on the roster now, unless news is broken that they've released him. I think they're going to try and deal him, and maybe if it's even just for a pick, but get rid of that $10 million, which would help get closer down to that luxury tax. They have to get under. If they're at $200 million dead solid even, they're under the luxury tax by about $428,000. So that's where they need to be if they want to avoid the repeater tax.
So you're making an argument that it's not just a little bit let Kroenke off with spending a little bit more money, but you think it's actually better competitively for this basketball
I
team
think
as well?
as you said, I think there's a case to be made. I really do. And again, it's not my money. I mean, if they want to pay $250 million, that's great. Go for it and be a repeater again, and then figure it out once Joker's career is over that you can have your 2 years under the luxury tax, because it's going to take some time to rebuild once that happens, and you'd basically be admitting that. And we all know if Joker weren't here, it would take a Herculean effort regardless of how much you wanted to spend.
Mike, I think you convinced me. I think if LeBron comes, you have to go into the repeater tax
I
and
agree.
do whatever you
Yes.
can at that point.
Yes.
You're going to make your money back by just having LeBron James on this team. But if LeBron doesn't come here, which is looking like he's not, it looks like Cleveland and Golden State are the runaway favorites there a little bit. I think. Oh, I hate saying this. I think it does make sense to get under the luxury tax for 1 year, and we've seen teams that shed salary but somehow get better. The Phoenix Suns, to me, are a great example of that. From 2 years ago, they have Kevin Durant on the team. They don't even make the playoffs. They shed salary. Everyone's kind of dumping on them, saying, "Oh, they're not going to be any good." They traded for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks there, and then they come out and they're the 7th seed in the standings in the Western Conference. So, and they won more games than they did the year before. So, I think there is a situation where even by shedding salary, you can still be just as competitive or even more competitive potentially.
Right. And let's just carry this through for a moment, Dante. And the reason I say it's the Kroenke's money, and if they were to pay the tax, that's great. The history of the organization, as we all know, is that they're not going to pay that much. And it would be a shock to me if they decided to pay that much to be a repeater again and be in that bracket and in the second apron and all of that. I just don't see it happening. So I'm trying to be realistic, but also trying to be as competitive as possible in looking at this roster. If you get rid of Big Val, that's $10 million. You've got your backup big already. And in the calculations I ran, just again, totally unofficial and just for the sake of running numbers, you're adding about $6 million between Bagley III and Tyus Jones, whom you're bringing back, which you need a backup point guard. So those two needs are filled in a way that you're still saving money from Big Val's contract. And then let's just say you sign Payton Watson to a deal that will be, I don't know what the cap number would be this year. If it's a 5-year deal or a 4-year deal, you could make it lower, but then make it higher on the back end. But the lower number this year would help your cap number, whatever it is. Say it's $25 million this year. I think that might be a touch high because Christian Brown has his new deal kicking in at $21 million this year, even though it averages 25 over the life of the deal. So let's just say it's $25 million. Well, you would have Big Val's number at 10, so there's a savings. And then if you trade away one more contract, whether it be Cam Johnson at $23 million, whether it be Aaron Gordon. But see, I don't think they would, Dante. What I think they would do is potentially trade Johnson, so it's almost a 1-for-1 with Watson. And as Josh Kroenke said, they've been willing to go into the tax bracket. I think they can get down to 200 by trading one more deal and making moves around the margins. But they're not bringing in LeBron. They're not bringing in anybody really of note that will cost anything. And I don't know what Nuggets Nation would think of that. I really don't. I personally want the best of both worlds. I want them under the luxury tax, and I want them to be a championship contender. That's their charge right now, and it might be an impossible needle to thread. It might be.
Oh, almost nearly impossible. And I think if you can bring back Watson at the expense of Cam Johnson, it would feel a little bit stale in terms of the team we saw a year ago or the past 2-3 years and running it back with this team. But if it means getting under the luxury tax, I think that could be good for this team in the long run. I think trading Johnson would be a little bit easier than trading a guy like Aaron Gordon. That seems very complicated with the amount of money that he's making and the injuries that we've seen from him and who wants to trade for him. What exactly is that value? To me, Cam Johnson's value feels a lot more stable, if that makes sense, that It's an expiring contract. He's a good shooter. He's young. He has a little bit of an injury history, nothing crazy. It's a very mid-level contract in terms of what he's making. It's not this astronomical $30+ million, and it's also not $10 million. It's right there in the middle. What'd you say, $23 million?
Yeah.
That feels like a very a contract that a team can work with and make it work for them. So I would say that the most likely situation that we're going to see is either a Peyton Watson sign and trade, or it is would they sign Peyton Watson to a long-term deal and it comes at the expense of Cam Johnson.
Or Cam Johnson or just at the expense of at least one other guy on the roster, maybe a second, depending on how much that first guy would be making. We've looked at this from the organizational perspective, but let's look at it from Jokic's perspective. Would you blame him? Or are you upset that he's waiting a year? That's next.
The Nuggets summer is heating up, and the biggest questions are still on the table. Will Nikola Jokic sign an extension or keep Denver holding its breath? Could a blockbuster Jamal Murray trade reshape the roster? And with Peyton Watson hitting restricted free agency, what does the core look like moving forward? Stay locked in. Denver Sports has you covered all off-season long. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini, Done Right Home Improvements. For an 8% scheduling incentive and a special financing rate of 0% APR with 72 equal monthly payments, go to drhi.com. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors. Finished basements, windows, and doors. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right.
Hey, that's not bacon grilling. That's your living room at 2 p.m. If your home heats up every summer, your windows might be the reason. Infinity by Marvin windows protect your home from UV rays, solar heat, and help lower energy bills all summer long. Colorado homeowners have trusted Gravina's Window Center of Littleton for 50 years. Right now, you can save 25% on Infinity by Marvin windows. Visit them at windowsforyourhome.com. That's windowsforyourhome.com.
Are you one of those people who dread going to the dentist? If so, have you tried sedation dentistry? Learn more about sedation dentistry at coloradosedation.com. Sit back, relax, and dream with the most experienced sedation dentist and staff at Clarkson Dental.
Summer is a time to feel and look your best, but I'm not talking about your tan or abs. Guys, I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to decades of thinning during Advanced Hair's once-yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and it can even grow for life. Did I mention Advanced Hair even guarantees your new hair will grow? Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar during Advanced Hair's best offer ever. The summer sales event is on for a limited time, so schedule your free consultation and get the details today. 720-459-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results with Advanced Hair. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Check out the incredible before and afters and get your savings details while still available. That's 720-459-HAIR. or advancedhair.com.
Switching your account numbers is hard. Being forced to switch, even worse. That's why at Belco Credit Union, we want to pay you to switch. From June 1st to August 31st, we're offering a $300 bonus when you open a new checking account with a qualifying direct deposit of $500 or more. They changed your account number. You can change who you bank with. Go to belco.org/switch for full offer details. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required. Conditions and restrictions apply. Belco. Banking for everyone.
Don't care for my local hometown team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Don't get fooled by out-of-state private equity corporations that are buying local HVAC companies, offering higher prices, bad service, and shady sales tactics. Don't trust your home to someone out of state when you have the best company right here in town. ROX are experts in local energy rebates and tax credits to save you money only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Dan, I'm not looking to get rich, but I'm not sure what to do. It's something we hear a lot at 303 Law 4040 from people. They've been hurt. They just don't know what to do next. Should they talk to the insurance company? Who's going to pay their medical bills? What if they have to miss work? They don't want to call a lawyer, and they certainly don't want to sue anyone, but they just don't know what to do. Here, take one of our small town clients. He was seriously hurt on his neighbor's property. Tough as nails, salt of the earth guy, and all he was looking to do was the right thing. He said, Dan, I have to live in this town, and I want to be able to hold my head up high by when I walk down the street. So if you're talking about suing my neighbor, I'm not interested. I explained that we probably wouldn't have to sue anybody, and we certainly weren't going to hurt his neighbor. In the end, we got him $1.5 million, and he could still hold his head up high in that small town. If you've been hurt, you don't have to feel guilty for calling 303-LAW-4040. We are here to help and fight for what's fair. We don't farm you out to a call center. In fact, we give all of our clients our cell phone numbers. We hope you never need us, but save that number in your phone just in case. It's 303-LAW-4040. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Most small business break-ins happen between 2 and 5 a.m. The owner finds out when they unlock the door at 7. Pull footage from a consumer system and you get a silhouette in a hoodie. Nothing identifiable. Vantage installs cameras that read a face in total darkness. And they don't stop at cameras. Access control, network, intercom, cabling, AV. One company, one number. Ready to invest in real security for your business or property? Call Vantage at 720-366-7759 or visit business.vssicolorado.com today.
Gebhardt BMW, your trusted family dealership since 1975 in Boulder, has a championship-level lineup ready for you to test drive and take home today. They currently have specials on both the BMW X3 and X5 models. The BMW X3 model is a luxury compact SUV that offers balanced handling and a powertrain variety. The BMW X5 model is a high-performance powerhouse luxury model that offers you a thrilling driving experience. They also have a great pre-owned BMW lineup as well. Schedule your test drive today. Go to GebhardtBMW.com.
Gebhardt BMW, your trusted family dealership since 1975.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Mike and Dante on this Monday night. Talking Nuggets right now. You can join in. RamosSaw.com text line 303-713-1043. On the Fan YouTube page, the chat is powered by Champ Honda. Talking about what might be best for the Nuggets longer term, and it's always hard. Fans don't have to think longer term, but organizations do. And you know that the Nuggets are thinking about all scenarios. Paying a large tax bill, not paying a large tax bill. Going into the repeater tax again or not. And we shall see. From the standpoint of Joker, he could have negotiated a 4-year, $278 million deal with the Nuggets this summer. He said today, I'm going to wait to sign the extension till next summer, but I want to be a Nugget for life. I want to be in Denver for life. I want to stay. Next summer, he can get a 5-year, $359.5 million deal. Now, on the averages, it's $69.5 for the 4-year deal, $71.9 on this one, and on the one next summer. Joker has made a ton of money in his career. But if you're talking about competitiveness, does he see potentially, for instance, a scenario like we laid out a moment ago? What do you think Joker's thinking, Dante?
It's so hard to know.
It really is.
Especially with him more than anybody, because he typically doesn't follow the typical arrangements or what a typical superstar does in the NBA. Typically, that superstar has the control over the organization where they re-sign every extension possible. They kind of are a co-GM in terms of bringing in who they want to bring into the organization. So they're almost a partner with the organization, where we haven't quite seen that relationship, at least publicly, go that way with Nikola Jokic, where he's deciding, hey, this guy's a bad apple, we got to trade him out of town, or this is my buddy on the other team, we got to make sure to trade for him or bring him in free agency. We don't really see Jokic do those kinds of moves, and even the way that he shows up to certain games is a little abnormal compared to some of the other superstars. So it's hard to know what he's thinking. I would guess that he just wants to win as much basketball as possible and not deal with a lot of the off-the-court issues that go along with off seasons. But I definitely do think that he has his mind set on, I'm going to win more here in Denver. But I believe him when he says he wants to be a Nugget for the rest of his career. I do.
I do believe that, and I do believe he probably, along with his agent, have looked at how that's going to happen, and what does that mean in terms of trying to best bet have the best legacy as possible after this coming season. So we know he's going to play under his current deal this year. So after the $59+ million he makes this year, he will have $363 million, almost $364 million in career basketball earnings. So add that to $359.5, and all of a sudden you're talking about making over almost $725 million in basketball if he plays all of that out. I really am not sure this is at heart about money, because you made, I think, the best point of all, Dante, is that we sit here because typically an NBA superstar wants to max out the money. Joker's earned a ton, and he's going to earn a ton more. He knows that. Do I think money's irrelevant to him? Again, just my personal opinion. No, I don't. But I don't think he looks at everything that goes into being an NBA superstar in the typical fashion, because whatever that means specifically, I don't know. But I'm comfortable with that generality. So given that, I'm not sure it's about the money. Maybe he's thinking something along the lines of, what will maximize my chances to win again at the highest level in a place that I want to do it for the rest of my career, knowing I've already won a title, knowing I've already got all the money I'll ever need and a zillion times more coming to me, let alone what I've earned. And could it be that he's thinking something like that, but he can't get into the weeds with all of that? All he can say right now, Dante, is, I want to be a Nugget for life, and I intend to sign the extension next summer. That's all he can say. You can't go into the weeds and explain all of that. There's no point in that, because the only thing that's going to matter ultimately is whether he signs next summer or not.
Yeah, and I'm waiting with bated breath at this point if he does sign that extension. I really think that he would have another contract waiting for him 2-3 years from now if he decided to sign this offseason, or even if he decided to sign an offseason before this. So I'm not exactly sure what the hold is. Maybe it is putting that pressure on the organization to do right by him and create a championship contender around him. So it's a little unsure if it's not the money, what else it could be, why he's waiting. But again, I don't think money is the top priority in his life. And it's hard to say that from the outside, because for 99.9% of the world, it is the one driving factor. But maybe Jokic just operates a little bit different. We're gonna have to wait and see what that reasoning is. Why he wants to wait one more year.
I will echo your sentiment towards the top of the show. I'm concerned as well, because I want Joker in Denver, and I want him locked up. And on the one hand, I'm concerned. On the other hand, maybe this will also prove to sort of keep the Nuggets honest in a sense, just to just use a figure of speech and say we still have to put out a good basketball team. And
do you think that's a worry of his at this point? It feels like they did everything they could this last offseason to make the most competitive team possible in terms of adding to the bench, adding Cam Johnson. So it feels like they have been doing right by him for the most part. I don't really know what else he could be looking for from the organization.
Well, right, and that's a fair point, but what I first thought of was his comment right after they lost to the Timberwolves when he was asked about the future and all this, and he said, well, if this happened in Serbia, everyone would get fired. And nobody got fired.
But don't you think he has control over if David Adelman returned or if the co-GMs returned? You don't think he has a big enough say?
I
guess I will preface that by saying earlier in this segment, I did say that he's not that typical superstar that does put his toe on the scale for the most part.
Yeah, and I don't know that, number one, that he would say, well, get rid of these guys. I suppose if it were a massive conflict with between Adelman and Jokic, I would like to think that would be evident enough to where the Nuggets wouldn't have brought Adelman back simply because of that. I mean, it seems like from the outside you can't get along with Joker, then as an NBA coach, then you're probably not going to be that successful in the league, and Adelman may not prove to be very successful. I don't. This is look, the all I can go by now is what we know is true, what I know to be true. Joker's going to sign next summer. So how do the Nuggets become as competitive as possible and yet still try and get under the luxury tax? Are you admitting by that philosophy, if that's what they're doing, that, well, a championship would be nice, but it may not be in the cards? And are you conceding that? On the surface, I think that's a fair point. But at the same time, what if you hit on one of your 2 second-round picks? Because, Dante, you and I, along with many others, have said Nuggets have to get more athletic. They have to get younger. They have to get more defensive-minded. If they got more defensive-minded through youth or other guys stepping up, what have you, would they fare better this year in the playoffs than they did last? I think you could make a case if health is in their favor. You could make a case for it.
Oh, absolutely. If they were just a little younger and a little more defensive minded. So it doesn't feel like they're that far off, but it does still feel like they have a ways to go when it comes to teams like the Spurs and the Thunder. I also question, what does Jokic want to do about the Payton Watson situation and his restricted free agency this summer? Do you think Jokic likes a guy like that in the building where he hasn't quite shown it for a long period of time, but those highs were so high this year in terms of the offensive output? We've always known that he's been a defensive guy, so I have no doubts that Jokic has any questions about that. But the offensive ability that we saw from him this year, it does make me question if Jokic is saying, hey, we got to bring Watson back, or if he would prefer to say, hey, we already have a guy that's on an inflated contract in Christian Brown. We don't want to have two of those. I'm very curious about what his input is into the organization in terms of what he wants, and then also how much he actually conveys that to the organization.
Mike on the RamosLaw.com text line, are we sure that this doesn't have anything to do with the fact his brother was certified as an agent this week? I'm not sure. I think that very well could. Maybe his brother becomes his agent, and when he signs the extension, his brother, what
an easy agent to have.
Yeah,
to
that's
be.
exactly right.
Yep, you're going to give us the most amount of money, we'll sign that one.
Yeah, you're set. You're set for life. I don't know. I mean, sure. I think that could all be playing into this. It's going to be fascinating, but I am concerned, but I'm not freaking out over the fact that Joker may leave next summer. He might, and teams are circling the waters now. The Sharks are in the water. The Chum is in the water, and the Sharks are circling. That's part of it, and we'll see what the Nuggets do to try and alleviate that, at least for this year. All right, we're going to talk a little baseball. We can tell you Belgium up 2-1 on the United States. The Rockies have a star in the making. Is it time to lock him up for a certain amount of time? That's next.
The countdown is on. Broncos training camp is less than a month away. Rookies report July 22nd. Veterans hit Broncos Park powered by Common Spirit on the 28th. Bo Nix is expected back at full speed. Sean Payton skipping joint practices to maximize every rep. And it all builds toward a season opener on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. From camp battles to kickoff, Denver Sports has you covered. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this rush hour ad to keep you calm, which could help your driving. And science says therapy is great for a healthy mindset. So enjoy this 14-second session on us. I think you've done everything right and absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, anything that hasn't gone your way could probably be blamed on your father not being emotionally available because his father wasn't emotionally available, and so on. And now that you're calm and healing, you're probably driving better too.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Progressive provides protection for your boat and other outdoor vehicles so you can explore new things.
Oh, I can finally try pesto.
We meant like water skiing.
I've just never had pesto.
Or maybe take the boat somewhere new.
I mean, is pesto spicy or sweet? Oh, guess we'll find out, right?
Right. Bundle home or auto insurance with your boat, RV, or motorcycle and stay protected with Progressive while you explore.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready for pesto.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, I'm not one to say I told you so, but do you remember last year when I told you that Pure Talk was hands down the best wireless company that I'd ever used? Well, some of you were skeptical, but Consumer Reports just asked 120,000 people to rate every wireless company in America, including the big boys. Well, guess which company was the only company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. No service contracts, no cancellation fees, just great U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network for a fraction of what you've been paying. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I will encourage you one more time to dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Girl, it's back. We've been waiting. I love that honey pepper pimento sandwich.
And that pineapple dragon fruit and Sprite is everything. It's got that razzle-dazzle that makes you stop and say, okay, wait a minute.
I love the creaminess of the pimento cheese. It's savory, it's bold, it's flavorful.
Our faves are back. High five, girl.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's finally here, and we're kicking it off with a whole lot of free. Free brake pads with Duralast rotors. Free oil filter with 5 quarts of oil. Free Armor All wipes with Armor All glass cleaner, and more. More free, so you can have more summer. Celebrate free at AutoZone. Now through July 27th. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Party at your place this summer? Fix things up inside and out with July 4th deals, now at Lowe's. Get up to 45% off select major appliances and save up to an additional 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Plus, save $80 on the select Charbroil Performance Series gas grill, now $299. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Hey guys, boy Steve here today by my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
This segment on The Fan brought to you by Denver Roof Pros.
Want real Broncos talk? Cecil Lammy and Andrew Mason bring the heat on Orange and Blue today. The most passionate intelligence and in-depth Broncos coverage in the game. Weekdays at 5 p.m. on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Hit subscribe at Denver Sports 104.3 and never miss another take. Orange and Blue today, powered by Ramos Law, official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
Mike and Dante on the Monday edition. Dante, the Rockies are at least, not by record, but by style of play, they're more competitive. When you look at the standings, they're 37 and 54. They're actually only a game behind the Giants in the division, believe it or not. That's not saying a lot for the Giants or Tony Vitello, their new manager. And then when you look around baseball, the Angels have 36 wins. The Royals have 37 wins. So they're trying to nudge their way up out of the basement of MLB. And they have a guy named Hunter Goodman, who is going to be an all-star for the second straight year, has tied the team record of home runs before the all-star break at 27, and he's got 50 RBIs. So my question is, we know that the lockout figures into all this, but let's just put that aside for a minute, because that's going to affect the timing of deals and whether or not guys get extended and when they get extended. So we don't know how that's all going to play out. The impending lockout, the likely lockout, however you want to put it. But let's just say that's not on the table, and we're asking the question, should the Rockies give Hunter Goodman an extension, give him security? He'll be arbitration eligible this year, after this year, so he's going to earn a boatload given his power numbers. Would you give him a 6 or 7 year contract and buy out at least a couple of years of free agency?
Yes, I would, and that's what all the smart teams are doing nowadays. You look at the Braves; they're getting their young guys under contract very early for the long haul, helping them out in terms of making more money on your rookie contract and during arbitration, but then you do get that long-term security as well, and you get them from an organizational standpoint on a cheaper deal than what it would have been if they reached free agency, true free agency. So if I'm the Rockies, he is exactly who I'm trying to give that kind of contract to. I know the Tovar contract hasn't looked great in the last year or two here, so still some time to work on that, but that's the kind of guy, Hunter Goodman, that is, who you want to have in the building. You want somebody that's going to represent your team on the national stage and be in the national conversation of the best catcher in baseball. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have him on your team. If you're trying to turn around this organization and raise the floor of the team, Hunter Goodman is the perfect example of not only raising the floor, but he raises the ceiling with how good he is.
The Tovar contract is interesting, and if this is the first year of the extension, by the way. So he is, if they exercise the club option in 2031. This would be year number 2, it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this would be year 2. He's at $5.2 million. Now, Hunter Goodman, the number would be higher. If you're talking about a 7-year deal, you could be looking at $150 million. Could be looking somewhere in that neighborhood, 20 plus. Maybe it's 18, maybe it's 16, something like that. If he's not the kind of player that the Rockies would identify as being in their core as they try and navigate this turnaround, I have no idea what that profile would look like. Zero. Tovar, even at 7 years and $63 million when he was 23 years old, the strikeout numbers were there as the contract was starting. Defensively, he's worth that money. Offensively, probably not so much to this point, although I'd like to think he's going to get a little better. But even if he's not a little better, Dante, when you're averaging $9 million a year for a starting caliber shortstop, even if you're looking mainly at the defensive part of the game, I think it's worth it. I think you can win and be a team that makes a run in your division, or at least be competitive in your division into August and September with Ezekiel Tovar at shortstop. But you need guys like Hunter Goodman behind the plate or playing, or DHing. You need those cornerstone power guys, and he's exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would ask on top of that and question, is Goodman a career catcher, or is he going to transition to DH at some point? That can be hard on someone's legs, on someone's knees there. And if you're giving him this big contract, I think you want him to be behind the plate. That way he can do the dual responsibility offensively and defensively. I'm with you as far as Tovar goes. I think in Major League Baseball, if you have a shortstop that can be up there with a a Gold Glove defensively, you can find a spot for him in the lineup, and maybe it is that 7th, 8th, 9th hole. But you need a shortstop that is going to make all the plays, and Tovar does do that. Yes, he leaves you wanting more offensively, at the plate, but you're right that if you surround him with guys like Goodman, with Moniak, who's having a great year, with McCarthy, who's having a great year,
maybe.
Rumfield's having a good year. So
Charlie Condon.
Yeah, Condon's on his way at some point. There is room for you to have a defensive first shortstop. And Goodman, again, I think he's the kind of guy you want to have in this building for the long haul.
And Tovar's last year, 2031, if the club exercises the option, that's big. Club option, it's huge. $23 million. At that point, he will have stuck around long enough to be a bona fide major league player. That would be considered a bargain. I promise you, that'll be a bargain of a contract. Dante, great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry,
That's all right.
No. Drew Spivak, my boss, texted me, so
Okay,
I got a little distracted.
Get to the boss, and we will call it a night. Thanks for joining us. For Dante Gomez, I'm Mike Rice. It's Denver Sports Tonight.
Colton, Drury, and Nichushkin all gone. New faces are already in the fold, with the entire blue line back as well after a Western Conference final sweep that still stings. How will the Avs retool around McKinnon for another cup run? Every trade, every signing, every take. Denver Sports has you covered all summer long. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
Most people don't think about their garage door until it stops working. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Don's Garage Door Service. A noisy garage door is a cry for help. Most repairs are simple, but if left untreated, they can turn into costly repairs. Your garage door works hard every day, and a little maintenance goes a long way. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. There's never a good time for your garage door to break, whether you're rushing to work or you're trying to get the kids to school. We know how much you rely on your garage door. That's why we offer same-day repairs, because life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Over 90,000 five-star reviews don't happen by accident. They happen by putting people first. Fixing your garage door is what we do, but making your life easier and your home safer is why we do it. Families trust us because we deliver, and we'd be honored to earn your trust too. From repairs to upgrades, call Don's Garage Door Service today.
Performance matters in intimate moments. Don't let ED ruin them. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and I want to assure you that if you're like the vast majority of guys, you don't have to suffer with ED anymore. In fact, you might be pleasantly surprised at how the right treatments could positively impact your love life. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, our advanced medical therapies go far beyond pills. We have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, and we offer specific and combinative treatments that can dramatically enhance both your performance and your stamina. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a far greater level of intimacy to both you and the one you love, perhaps performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and find out why our advanced treatment strategies offer so much more. Your first visit is just $99 and gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, advanced medical science to improve men's lives.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. And when it comes to your internet, you want the most intelligent, and that's what they provide. The most intelligent Wi-Fi that can hunt down and fix problems. Reliability, well, you want the most reliable Wi-Fi for streaming, gaming, working from home, and coverage that goes wall to wall in your home. How about security? Wi-Fi that's security blanket for your network and reliability. Fiber-powered network with 99.99% reliability, built for speed so you can run multiple devices at once, and Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home tie and work together. Consistency, you can lock in 5 years of predictability. 5 years, the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi with our best equipment. Plus, you can get online with minutes, same-day Wi-Fi. Hey man, that's the price lock guarantee. 5 years, same price, no contracts, no commitments. It's all included. Everything you need, including the data and equipment, the most reliable Wi-Fi. That's Xfinity, guys. Imagine that.
When you've been hurt after a traumatic car crash, you don't need a sales pitch from an attorney with big promises and a loud voice. You need a team who fights for real results fast. That's why so many across the country choose the Berg Simpson Law Firm. Berg Simpson is nationally recognized, but is local right here in Colorado. So give us a call and let our team fight for the results you deserve today.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives.
Shop Honda keeps car buying simple. One price, one person, 1 hour means no games, no back and forth, and no dealer handling fees ever. Upfront pricing and one dedicated advisor who handles everything from start to finish. It's straightforward, stress-free, and honestly, the way car buying should have always been. At Shop Honda, the experience is just as good as the vehicle you're driving home. Discover the Shop Honda difference for yourself. Visit Shop Honda today, proud partner of the Dover and Cecil